Hi, I'm Liron Cohen.
And I'm Mimi Torchin.
And you're listening to Lady Parts TV, the podcast.
Whee!
Hi, everybody. We are here with Lola. She's being a guest star, even though she's being a very quiet guest star. But at some point, at some point, she might not be that quiet. Say hi, Lola.
Hi.
That was Mimi.
Hi, by the way.
Hi, everybody. We have very exciting stats this week. We only tallied 26 primetime shows, but out of which written or co-written by women, 19, which is 73%.
That's amazing. High five.
High five. And directors, 9, which is 35%. But let's focus on 73%. So we have a lot to talk to you about, as always. But before we do, I have a little announcement to make, which is,
tiny.
As you know, probably, if you're a Game of Thrones fan. If you're not, don't worry, I'm not. You don't have to be a fan in order to enjoy our podcast. But if you are a fan, Game of Thrones, they're late. The last season is coming back this upcoming Sunday.
I can't believe it's finally here.
I thought that you can't believe it's ending. Anyway, so starting with the following podcast and throughout the final season, we'll have a segment at the end of the podcast. So don't worry, no spoilers unless if you haven't seen the show, you can just stop.
We'll give you a warning.
Yes.
Because there might be some spoilers.
No, there will be spoilers, but we won't do it in the middle of the show. You'll have plenty of time to exit the show at the end of it before getting there. Mimi will discuss the episode of the week every week until the very last one.
Oh my God.
So now, we just have to tell you, before we get into the new stuff, we have to revisit something we told you last week.
Fosse Verdon. Oh my God. In fact, this is almost, put your hands over your ears if you're very, very delicate. Oh my fucking God.
You know what it made me think about? Remember when you said that when the X-Files came, you said, oh my God, they made a show just for me.
When I saw the previews, I said, what? Thank you, Fox.
That's how I felt yesterday when we watched it. I thought, it's a show just for me.
And it's a show just for every theater nerd out there. Or even someone who really just loves good acting and good drama. It's just so exciting. And what's so fantastic about it is that it's a peek behind the curtain at the lives of Gwen Verdon and Bob Fosse. Bob Fosse was not a very nice man. Gwen Verdon was a
fabulous woman who,
and
she was
she was very much the power behind the throne,
but and as always, not recognized enough, not allowed to do enough.
Michelle Williams is just brilliant. I'm old enough to remember Gwen Verdon, and she just got her essence, and it's so exciting to watch. I mean, Michelle Williams is kind of a chameleon. I mean,
she is.
I've been a fan of her since Dawson's Creek. Okay,
well, I liked her in Dawson's Creek, but I didn't. I mean, you couldn't see her full potential back then. But I think that she has definitely demonstrated throughout the years that she is an actress to be reckoned with. And
every role she does, it's like peeling away another layer. And this is just. She's fabulously exciting. She's touching. She's heartbreaking. She dances. She sings. She's just remarkable. Now, I wasn't that happy with the idea of Sam Rockwell as Bob Fosse, but he's doing it. He's doing a good job as an actor. Yes, and I'm starting to. Accept him.
I just have to tell you, if you're hearing a bird in the background, just start getting used to it, because once we get to the venue, it will be birds. But
we're pretty birdy here.
It's spring,
in Hudson Heights. Yes.
So
anyway,
I love the production. I think it's beautifully shot, beautiful to look at. The previews for the following episodes with all the musical numbers and again, it's a show for me.
Now, I wish we
could binge on it.
Yes. Me too. My God, I couldn't believe it was over and we had to wait a week. If the first episode is about his movies,
but it goes back.
But it does. I see that it goes back, and we are going to get some of. We are going to get the theater.
I'm sure that we're going to see how they got to know each other. And
yes,
her,
exactly.
And now we're seeing her when she's already fading. We're going to see her in her heyday. We're going to see how they got started and everything.
It's fantastic.
Fosse Verdon, if you haven't seen it yet, only the first episode so far on FX on Tuesdays. It's my favorite show right now.
Oh, please.
I'm just so
Theater
excited.
Nerds. It's, kind of like sex and fried chicken. I don't know.
And the period, too. I mean, the period is just one of the most fascinating periods
and
of
there's
all time.
People playing famous people,
Famous people playing famous people, not so famous people.
Famous people playing famous people, which is kind of interesting. They this way they don't...
Well, the girl playing Liza, who is a theater person, obviously, so she's not that well known in to television, but she's wonderful.
She is wonderful.
And they all managed to really evoke
yes.
the people that they play. It's great.
Supposed to be, yes.
So anyway, we are so excited.
Can you tell?
Now, something else I'm truly, truly excited about is something we've been waiting for a long time. It's a new series. It's a heads up for you, premiering on HBO Monday, April 22nd. 8 episodes, Gentleman Jack. And again, a combination of so many things I love.
Including Saran Jones.
Primarily Saran Jones, whom we adore. We've adored for years. I would say qualified, written by Sally Wainwright, who usually would have been one of my favorite things, except then she botched our favorite couple on Last Tango in Halifax. And so
she's still one of my favorite writers.
She's one of my favorite writers, but this is another story about a lesbian, and so she really needs to redeem herself this time.
I think she's going to, because the whole thing is built around Ann Lister,
who was an actual person,
lesbian, unapologetic,
the first modern lesbian, as she's been dubbed,
and
also a big feminist.
And I'm just gonna her clothes. Oh my God! I love women dressed in men's clothing because men's clothing are so stunning. She is just a sight to behold, and she is such a feminist, such a full-blown, in-your-face, no apologies.
In the 1800s. In England.
Exactly.
And apparently what we just read, which is fascinating, is that this is based on her diaries. And everything she wrote in her diaries about her lesbian relationships, she wrote in code that they actually had to decipher. It was a combination of algebra and something.
Alan Turing.
It's brilliant. Yeah. It's brilliant. It's so fascinating.
It was just decoded not too long.
In the 1900s. Also starring a couple of other lesbian icons from the
Amelia Bullhorn,
Bullmore,
sorry,
whom you might remember from
Smith
and Bailey,
Scott and Bailey, because we always call it Scotch and Bailey.
She was also the lesbian or bisexual we never really got to know.
She's a wonderful actress.
Jodie May from Tipping the Velvet, and a bunch of other people you will recognize, but I just had to name these two.
I wish Keely Hawes was in it.
I know. We could have like a big lesbian reunion. Anyway, this is just something I cannot wait.
It looks great. You can watch the trailer yourself if you like. What is it going to be on HBO?
Yes. Starting April 22nd. I know it's a bit of a heads up, but I didn't want to take the chance of
just
you missing it.
Just in case you wait. Well, of course, HBO, it doesn't really matter.
I know, but you don't want to be behind on this. You want to see it the minute it comes out, which is the way I want to see it.
Right. But on demand, HBO is just fine because there are no commercials anyway, and that's one of the reasons we especially don't like to watch on demand, is because then we have to watch commercials.
So Gentleman Jack on HBO starting April 22nd. Do not miss it.
Yes. Okay. This is a new series review called A Discovery of Witches, which seemed very promising because Alex Kingston is in it, along with Valerie Pettiford, who I like very much, playing a lesbian. And so this is, of course, a dream of many, especially ER fans, and Doctor Who fans, and just...
Brit of Anglophiles, and anybody,
just
any
Alex
lesbian.
Kingston fans in general. It's a modern-day story of witches and vampires and probably demons and other things. But the main character, played by Teresa Palmer, is a witch who knows she's a witch, but she doesn't want to be a witch, and she tries not to use her powers. But there's a book, a magical book that she somehow is able to read. Nobody else is, and there's a kind of a save the world quality to this. And Matthew Good plays a vampire who. They're not really supposed to consort with witches, but in this case, he decides to work with her, and also, I'm pretty sure they fall in love. It looks like fun if you like this genre. It's based on very popular books and
by Deborah Harkness. We're sorry if you're hearing some noises. There's some work being done outside.
Blowing,
there's nothing we can do.
Spring and fall. There's no getting away from it.
Again, it's kind of like get used to it because once we get to the vineyard,
oh my God, the most peaceful
yard work day and night.
Most peaceful place on the East Coast, except for the yard work and the constant trimming and cutting down of trees and mulching them. And oh my God. Anyway.
Back to the witches.
Back to A Discovery of Witches. Now, it looks kind of fun to me. It looks like kind of a British version of a CW show.
That's an interesting observation.
Yeah, but we're going to stick with it a little bit more because
it got great
reviews, and Alex Kingston
playing a lesbian.
Yeah, she had 2 minutes of airtime. Basically, she and Valerie Pettiford
with an American accent.
With an American accent.
What a waste!
Why? Well, the girl is American too, so Diana is American, but. Anyway, I was a waste.
I was disappointed that she had such little screen time in the first episode. I really hope it changes because to me, watching witches is not good enough to keep me watching a show,
or even vampires, which I like better than
especially
witches.
Not vampires. Yeah. But I will try again for Alex.
Yes, I think she's the draw.
Definitely. So, A Discovery of Witches, by the way, we haven't told you, it's both on BBC America and on AMC apparently at the same time. It's Sundays. If you're watching Killing Eve on BBC America on Sunday, it's right after.
Right after. So, and I don't know which one is going to be crazier.
Yes, we'll talk about Killing. We'll give Killing Eve a couple more episodes before we talk about it.
See if it settles down a little. So, I saw a movie that I loved, and it's called Little, which is sort of a cross of between Big and any number of middle school problems movies that you've seen. It also very much Devil Wears Prada. It wasn't totally original. What makes it what makes it different is that it's a black version sort of all of those movies, and that gives it an extra punch and sass.
And a female.
And The Devil Wears Prada was female. But anyway, it's written by Tracy Oliver and Tina Gordon and directed by Tina Gordon. But what to me is really fascinating is Marseille Martin, who is 14 years old now and was probably 13 years old when the story begins, not this story, the story of her life and this movie. She came up with the idea, she conceived it, she pitched it, she sold it, and she executive produced it. Wow. And she starred in it. Because make no mistake, she's the star. Even though Regina Hall and Issa Rae are in it, and Issa Rae especially has a very large part, and she's delicious.
So in other words, we can expect her to be running for president anytime soon.
This kid, I saw her on either Access or Extra, one of those shows, which I just happened to tune into at the right time. She is a piss. She is a handful, and she is going to be she's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I am absolutely positive. I have no doubts about it. She is going to be a queen.
She's going to be big.
She's going to be big.
Even though in here she's little.
Yes, she's little. And she does a fantastic, amazing job of actually just becoming
a small Regina Hall.
A small Regina Hall. She has all of her characteristics down, absolutely pat, and she is a very good little actress. Very funny. The show also has a message.
The movie.
Excuse me. The movie also has a message, which is find your power, be yourself, and how to sort of she learns a little bit of humility because she is the devil of. She makes Miranda Priestley seem like the best boss in the world. She is so mean. But she learns something going back to her young self. She has to go back to her old middle school where she was bullied and where the light really was turned off on her. A lot happens, and you're going to enjoy this movie. I laughed. I got a little moved. Mostly I laughed, and I really enjoyed it. This is not a new idea, but it's a new take on this particular conglomeration of ideas, and I recommend it highly, highly, highly.
It actually opens Friday, April 12th, so by the time you'll be listening to this, you can go and see it.
Yeah, so you'll have a good time.
It's called Little in theaters somewhere next to you.
I think you could take your teenage kids if you wanted to. I mean, the sex is very mild, and the language is not so bad. I think that it's a family-friendly movie. So I have been a friend, if only. I have been a fan of Amy Schumer since Last Comic Standing. And that was a long time ago. Nobody pretty much knew who Amy Schumer was, but I loved her right out of the gate. As time went on, she just got a little bit too crude. Mm-hmm. And to me, it masked the brilliance of her humor. She is very funny, very open. Yeah. I would watch her, and then, although we didn't watch Inside Amy Schumer, except for the last
skits.
Fuckable day, which was genius
again.
And she has a new special on Netflix called Amy Schumer Growing, and a lot of it is about her pregnancy, and but many other things in her life, including her new husband, who is on the spectrum. And she talks quite a bit about that in a very loving fashion. I think she's really in love with this man who sounds like a great guy. This is my favorite Amy Schumer special ever. She is just her facial expressions alone. I don't know what pregnancy has done. Hasn't changed her face that much, but her facial expressions are worth the price of admission, which, of course, is, $11.99 a month or whatever it is. But the humor is so on track, and you don't have to be pregnant to relate to.
No, and a lot of
stuff is not about pregnancy, but a lot of it is about pregnancy. But it's about feminism, as always,
and sexism.
These are her themes that she has visited later in life, more and more frequently, and she does them in the best way. I just have to say that you are going to. If you like Amy Schumer, you're going to really like this special. If you love Amy Schumer, prepare yourself for an hour and, a few minutes of absolute fabulosity. You're going to love it. Amy Schumer, Growing Up on Netflix.
No, not growing up, just growing.
Just growing. But I feel she has grown up a little.
Yes, she has.
Yes. Netflix now. See it.
Also, we want to give you another heads up for a movie also premiering. Opening in theaters Friday the 12th. So you can already go see it.
It's a movie. That's interesting.
As opposed to
a TV movie, a Netflix thing.
It's definitely a movie. It's called Wild Nights with Emily. It's written and directed by Madeline Olnick. By the way, did we say that Amy Schumer both wrote and directed her special?
Amy Schumer both wrote and directed her special.
Now we said it. Okay. It's starring Molly Shannon and Susan Ziegler. And it is the real story of Emily Dickinson's, because
it's taken from her letters to I think one Susan in particular,
her lover.
Yes, her lover.
So they're saying we want to pull the curtain on who Emily Dickinson really was and her relationship with women, and with one particular woman, as you said.
Although I must say I'm not surprised.
I don't think anybody is, but up until now nobody's, I guess, spoken about it like this. And it looks extremely lesbian. I mean, this is pretty much the center of the movie, her relationship with this woman.
And other women.
But I think particularly this woman. And when we, first of all, it's very humorous.
We said that it stars Molly Shannon.
Right, it's very humorous. It's supposed to be very funny.
Yes.
And so Mimi wasn't pleased with the Molly Shannon casting.
I am a fan of Molly Shannon's. I think she's very, very funny. But to me, she's always Molly Shannon. And I always hear her on Saturday night going, I'm 50 years old. 50 years old, or as the girl in Catholic school who kept tripping over things, and she's wonderful. But to me, she has absolutely zero zilch, not a sex appeal.
Right. Well, this is not...
Yes,
from
Emily,
the trailer, it appears like they're not trying to so much work on the sex appeal. They're doing it more in a humorous fashion. I don't know if they're hoping that it would be less aggravating to people, shattering the image of Emily Dickinson. I don't know.
Still in all, I'm
but
shallow.
It looks very fun.
It looks very,
very fun. And very, very lesbianic.
Yes, and I love Emily Dickinson's poetry. So,
and it also shows about how struggling to be a woman, trying to do something again that women are not supposed to do.
Well, exactly. There's a scene in the trailer where her father says, "You know, Emily, no man
wants." Is this her father?
I think it's her father. No man wants a woman who's smarter than he is. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure she was smarter than almost anybody she knew.
This and Gentleman Jack kind of go together for me.
Mm-hmm. Similar era.
So it's just... I'm so happy that they're making this movie and that they're not shying away, and in fact that this is front and center. This is the story of Emily Dickinson's lesbianism.
Listen, women are rocking the world. They are writing and directing and producing and starring, and
it's about damn time, if you ask me.
It's about damn time.
So Wild Nights with Emily, when you hear this, you can already go and see it, so we hope that you do. Finally, we want to revisit a show that we have revisited before.
And we're revisiting it again, and we might just do it another
Who knows? Good Trouble, which has just ended on Freeform, actually, and it will come back June 18th. You can catch up on Amazon Prime. Apparently, the episodes are there. We are still catching up because, again, I was not here, and so we have a DVR full of stuff.
And it wasn't your favorite show, and when we said, what should we watch? Good Trouble was not very seldom, let's watch Good Trouble.
Right, so exactly, because it wasn't my... what I didn't like was that it was so heavy on the sex, and but...
Millennials...
But the show, when we finally did go to say, let's just watch another one, and it actually happened to be episode 8, Bite Club, which was one of my favorite episodes. It was so fantastic, and the show really is so much better than I thought it was.
It really is, and it's very feminist. It's very diverse. It's very queer,
LGBTQ
friendly in every possible way.
Bite Club, especially, that episode was all about Mariana gathering the women in her office to...
She works for a tech company,
right.
One of those where they have ping pong tables and roller skates.
Those millennial
and
things.
Where the women are completely discounted.
Right, and so she gathers the women together to see how they can help one another be heard and be recognized, and so they address all these like mansplaining and ignoring amplifying.
And what did they say? I forget what the term was, but when you give an idea and it's going, yeah, and then a man repeats the exact same idea, they go, now that sounds interesting.
Right, so they figure out ways to help one another, and actually they don't really figure them out. It's ways that have been talked about, suggested before for women.
But they begin to implement them.
Yes, and to me, this is, especially since I know this show skews younger, and so to me, any girl who sat there, any young woman who sat there and watched it and got an idea of how to handle something that she was dealing with at work or in school or college, whatever, that is like, you sit there and take notes, girls, because it was so fabulous. And
there also, I don't know if it was, we binged. We watched one or two or three of them, and one of them was about sexual harassment in high places,
right?
In judges, people of real power against people of no power, and how that was handled. And Callie, of course, was instrumental in getting someone.
And now the next one we're going to watch is the one with when the mothers come back.
They've managed to, if you've been a fan of the Fosters, Brandon came back in the last one we watched.
Jesus before that.
Jesus has been there. The moms were there. The moms are coming back.
And the thing about this show, which of course was true for the Fosters as well, because it's the same people, Joanna Johnson, Peter Page, Bradley Birdwig, they truly, I think that this is one of the most well-written shows on television.
It's a very well-written show. It's very insightful. It's very funny. It's very true to character.
But they take on such controversial topics. They really take on
they really do.
And they manage to kind of dismantle them and disarm them in a way that is, on one hand, not too confronting, and on the other hand, doesn't shy away from, again, dealing with it and coming to conclusions and not being afraid to tell you things that maybe other shows are prefer not to deal with.
And it's fun, this kind of communal living thing that they have.
And they're
fabulous. An old hotel with a pool in the roof.
And slowly they're starting to explore the other characters that live there as well.
And very... actually effectively, and the cast is very appealing.
I think it's great, and I think you should all watch it. Good Trouble, and it's coming back for a second season, but for now you can catch up with the first if you haven't seen it. And again, as always, we're always happy to hear what you think about all these things. ladypartstv@gmail.com. Let us know, and let us know if there's a show that we're missing. I mean, right now, we know that there are shows that we're missing. We're just still playing
there
catch-up.
have to be shows that we're missing, but
please.
we watch so many. I mean,
we're still playing catch-up from when I was gone.
It's a miracle that we ever sleep.
Barely now with a 6-month-old kitten. And lastly, before we say goodbye, we want to give big kudos to Lucy Liu, who directed last week's episode of SVU, which was very good.
Very, very good episode, and I love Lucy Liu.
And I love Sherry Appleby.
Yes, Sherry Appleby was the guest star.
And I'm just so happy that SVU got renewed for another season. It's such an important show. And this season, again, it's had such good seasons, and the last couple of seasons were so strong. The show is completely revitalized. There's still so many stories to tell, and unfortunately...
And now there's more stories than ever,
Exactly.
it seems.
And it's a very, very much needed show. I can't imagine a world where SVU is not around, because it's
someday
stories,
there will be that world.
Well, someday hopefully there will be a need
I'll
for such show.
probably be dead.
Someday hopefully there won't be a need for such show, but for now I think this show is essential.
Okay.
And Olivia Benson is essential to our living. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.